this video, it's going to be more based on a Japanese game. It's called Persona, and you guys might not have heard of it, but basically it's a very stylish RPG series, generally quite linked in with kind of anime tropes. It's just really cool. Why did I want to start playing Persona? That's a great question. I'm going to struggle to answer that really, but I'm going to say it's because I really wanted to get invested in a series of games, and I'd already played a little bit of Persona 4 and Persona 5, and I did kind of like them in a way. You know, it was a bit of a turn off because there's a lot of cutscenes and a lot of dialogue to begin with in the game. There's not much input from the player. You know, it really isn't that much input, and that is frustrating. But as I've started continuing on with Persona 3, I'm about 2 hours in now. There's been quite a few fights. There's been things to do. So I think I just needed to give it some breathing room, you know, because thinking about other JRPGs like Final Fantasy XIV Online, right? It's not a typical JRPG, but it's very, if you ask most people who played that game, they would agree that it's like a JRPG. And in that, there is a lot of dialogue. There's a lot of cutscenes, a lot of unskippable cutscenes as well. So that's kind of my draw. Persona 3 has a lot of Zazz, right? I'm gonna use it because it's true. You know, the things about it which seem, there's a lot of style there. It kind of reminds me of like a mix of anime and Ocean's 11 almost, in a way. I mean, Persona 5 Royal for sure, but less so in Persona 3 so far. Persona 3 seems way more kind of X-Files-y, or almost like Jujutsu Kaisen, if you've ever seen it. I think it's very Jujutsu Kaisen. I'm a big fan of Jujutsu Kaisen. I've only seen a couple of episodes, but it was damn cool, and it kind of I don't want to get distracted, but that is kind of, that's where I see Persona 3. Really, I see it as like a little Jujutsu Kaisen game without being Jujutsu Kaisen, you know. And the things I'm really enjoying about Persona 3 so far is it's very relaxed. It's very chilled out. There's a lot of story, character development, even early on, and I think that's really cool. You know, you're getting introduced to loads of different characters. You kind of get this really kind of stylish game thrown at you, and there's a lot. The music's pretty awesome. The cutscenes are cool. The graphics are actually pretty impressive for a Persona game, because I played Persona 4. I can't say the graphics were amazing in that. I feel like it might have been some sort of port of like a portable game, maybe. But Persona 3, yeah, it's really impressed me so far. Yeah, I thought I'd make a video about it to say, we can talk about the gameplay, because actually the Zazz is quite linked to the gameplay itself, right? When you're moving around, like free roaming almost between the different sections, you're getting a lot of cool animations, and the audio is just top notch. It's kind of like jazzy, a little bit of funk to it. You know, there's a lot of that, the cool animations on the UI and everything. And there's this whole kind of time management system which they're slowly introducing me to, which is like when you have free time after school, you can go and do stuff which increases certain stats, which I find interesting. And what they've touched on a little bit so far is that your personas, you can summon these creatures called personas, and they're actually strengthened or they're changed by your social stats. And there are 3 that I've come across so far, and that would be, I think it's charm, I think it's academic, and there's one other one, but I can't remember what it is. So far, they're the only 3 I've come across so far. It might only be those 3 in the game, but you know, it's still a really cool idea that you kind of level up or change your combat masteries almost by doing things which aren't combat related at all. Or yeah, I think that's really cool. That's a really novel idea, because you know, normally in any kind of action RPG kind of stuff, the only way to get experience and change how you work in combat is by fighting and killing things, like getting XP from kills. But this changes up the formula a little bit. Sure, there is XP from the battles, but it was influence how your persona functions. that's like XP for the Persona. It's like Persona XP, and that's done outside of combat. That's done in a very interesting way, because for example, I went to a shrine and I prayed because I had spent all my money on items, equipment, and I didn't have much yen to use. So I went to a random kind of a shrine and prayed with 100 yen, and that increased my stats a little bit, which was cool, because there are other things you can be doing. You can, I mean, I haven't exhausted the list for sure, but I've seen that you can go to karaoke bars, or you can go to arcades, you can go to the shops, maybe you can go to the cinema, who knows. I'm sure there's a plethora of things that they're going to introduce to me, and that is just really cool. I really like that. So I've answered why I'm playing Persona 3. Now, where am I going with this? Where am I going with this Persona 3 playthrough? Well, about a week ago, I was kind of sick and tired of my ever-growing backlog, and I decided to start dealing with it. I did start with Half-Life, and I'm really enjoying Half-Life. It's cool. And now I actually have a wireless keyboard and mouse, so I have no excuse not to play it. I was getting super frustrated because playing Half-Life on PC with a controller is so frustrating, man. It's so much easier with a mouse and keyboard. And then I changed my setup around, so now I'm on a sofa, and the controller was not working with Half-Life. So that is on the burner for now, because also like the graphics aren't great in Half-Life because it's a really old game. To beat the backlog, a suggestion is that you start with your oldest games in your library, and Half-Life happens to be the oldest game I own in Steam, at least, which has a release date on it. So that's why I went for that one. But I wanted to complete some games which I've started. That was another way of dealing with the backlog. And some games I've started include the Persona series. Now, like the Yakuza series, I don't know why this appeals to me so much, because I'm like a big fan of gameplay, like of doing things, figuring out game mechanics. And this doesn't immediately grab you as having a lot to do. But I think it's because they slowly introduce you to things. Like in Yakuza, for example, it slowly introduces you to like different move sets, or it increases your stats. Like in Persona, in Yakuza, you similarly have like charm and some other things I can't remember. And there's also like businesses that you grow. There's more things to do outside of combat in Yakuza. And the same thing with Persona is that it slowly is introducing me to more and more things to do outside of combat, and also combat as well. It is growing. It's a grower. I think that's the best way I can describe it, is that it's a grower and it has a lot of Zazz, and that really, I think that entices me to play. I think games which surprise me, and games which cliffhangers and suspense, just excitement, I think that's what grabs me. As much as exciting as some other games are, they also get boring and stale quite quickly. So I'm going to just put it out there. Devil May Cry 1, right? I've seen that it's had really good reviews, right? But honestly, like after about half an hour, I'm done. I'm just like, this is just pretty samey. There's just not much here. There's not much to sink my teeth into. So I normally just get bored. So I think that's the sad truth. So, but the thing is, like with things which constantly surprise me, constantly throw new things at me, that's what keeps me going, right? And then to have things to think about. So for example, with Persona, right? I'm slowly getting introduced to mechanics, or I'm getting introduced to harder bosses and stuff. But I also have other things to think about, like, what am I going to do at the end of the day? Am I going to go to the karaoke bar? Am I going to do this, do that? There's give me options, right? Give me options and I'm happy, right? I'm slowly figuring out what kind of games like I really like. And honestly, Crusader Kings 3, right, is great for that. There's loads of options. There's loads of things you can be doing. And it is a great game. I'm not taking a break here. I will definitely be getting some Crusader Kings content back to your way, guys. But for now, we're just gonna chill. We're gonna chill. I'm gonna be enjoying some Persona 3 on the side. But I think that's it for this video. Really, I think I've said what I've come here to say. Persona 3 is cool, and hopefully you guys don't mind me making whatever content I want, and hopefully the game doesn't influence you too much on it if you're going to stick around or not. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe, because I really do appreciate it. And in the meantime, take it easy.